Hey, first graders. We're going to get started on your project Lead the Way. I don't know if you remember last year we talked about some animals and how they eat certain food and then they live in their house. What's their necessity to live on? But yours this year for first grade is animated storytelling. So your first activity right here is Rosie's Runtime. Rosie is actually a dog that we're going to talk about here in a second, that you're going to code to do certain things. Meet Scratch Junior. Scratch Junior is a coding game. You guys did it some last year too. It's got the Scratch Cat. I know you guys have seen it before, but I'll bring it up real quick. To this guy, it's the Scratch Cat. And then you could take your characters and you could code them to like move to the barn, or you could put different characters in there. This one, you could change the background. You can put the ocean or in the park. And then like the astronaut right here. Remember, we took our picture and we put ourselves as the astronaut and we were on the moon. So we're also going to be doing Scratch Junior also. And then we're going to be doing Scratch Junior and the butterfly. We're going to have the butterfly do certain things, and we're going to code them to do certain things. Setting the scene. And then your very final problem is creating an animated story. So we're going to talk about more animations. If we go to our activity 1 first, we're going to have a story that we're going to read. And then we're going to talk about a few things afterwards. Remember, we have 3 friends in our story. We have Milo, we have Angelina, and we have Susie. So we're going to talk about them today too. So it was a special day at school. Angelina, Milo, and Susie had just finished listening to the last chapter of the story that their teacher, Miss Morales, has been reading to them out loud. After lunch, they were going to watch a movie version of the story. "I can't wait to watch that movie today," exclaimed Susie. "I know," said Milo. "I was visualizing the story the whole time Miss Morales was reading it to us, just like she asked us to do. Now we need to get to see the story come to life on a screen." "I have a lot of vivid pictures in my mind," said Angelina. "It might be strange to see someone else's ideas of what the characters and setting look like." "Yeah," said Susie. "That has happened to me before. When I see a movie version of the book, it's not really the same as what was in my imagination while I read the story." So if we look at this picture, I think this is Susie, right? Angelina right here, she is thinking about, you see her think bubbles. So this is her thinking about the movie, and this is her actually watching the movie. So if we could pause the video right now, and then we'll talk about the differences of the think bubble and then the difference of the think bubble and the video itself. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, since we've already talked about what the differences are, we're going to go ahead and read. "Wouldn't it be neat if you could bring the story to life with the images from our own imagination?" asked Milo. Susie and Milo agreed that they would like to be able to bring a story to life on a screen. The friends continued talking about how much fun they would have creating stories when their teacher walked in and asked them to quiet down. It was time for writer's workshop. Miss Morales showed them something on her tablet that she created. She called an animated story. The students were surprised to see when Miss Morales tapped the characters. They would move and talk. The most amazing thing was the story paused to let the viewer choose which decision the main character would make at the end of the story. So if you look up here, Miss Morales is touching her iPad and she's touching the character, and then the character talks or the character moves. Last year when you guys coded your animals and your characters on Scratch Junior, you were actually able to do your green flag. When the green flag is clicked, then this happens. You could also do when character is clicked, then this happens. So that's what she is doing right here. When you click the character, then she moves and dances, or she sings, makes noise. The students almost couldn't believe what Miss Morales told them, and they were going to learn how to make an animated story on their tablets. Wow, exclaimed Angelina. This is just like what we have been talking about. Now we really can make a story come to life. So down here in this bottom tablet, this is what Miss Morales was saying. Your character right here has a choice. Your character can choose the B door or can choose the A door. Now in your story, it's not necessarily going to be doors, but it's going to be two choices. So your character either gets to do this or gets to do this. So you guys are going to choose what those options are. Would you like to create an animated story like Milo, Susie, and Angelina? What would your story be about? Where would your story take place? And what characters would you include? Okay. So in this activity, you're going to build a program. Now, a program is a set of instructions given to a computer. Okay. But you're going to be using your code cards. A code is just the instruction written in the way that the computer can understand. Okay, just like you guys understand English, okay, because that is kind of like you're programmed in your brain to know you're not going to understand another language because you don't speak it unless you speak another language. But you're going to be using a code card to direct Rosie the robotic dog through a maze. Along the way, you will discover that computers do exactly what you tell them to do, nothing more and nothing less. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Rosie's runtime. You guys are not going to play Rosie's runtime today. We're going to talk about those so that way next week you can jump right into it. So this is your game board that you're going to have. It kind of looks like the game Twister. It's got a red, and then yellow, then green, then blue. But we don't have a board. Like we're not going to flick the little Twister thing and tell you to put your right hand on blue or anything. This is going to be set up, and you're going to have Rosie, the robotic dog, which is actually going to be one of you guys. You guys are going to code each other to go to certain places. Rosie can only do certain things. She can only do what you tell her to do. And in this case, you're going to tell her to do certain things. You're going to tell her to get to a certain place. So when you look at this game board, there's a few more items on here. So if you look at this game board, where are we going to start? You're going to start on the start. So Rosie's going to be facing this way. Rosie can only do a few things. Okay. You have go forward. Okay. Rosie can go forward, but she has to be facing that way. If she's not facing the right way, if she needs to turn, she can turn left and she can turn right. These are two different cards. She can turn left and she can turn right. Okay. But you stay on the dot that you're on. You stand on the dot and you just turn your body. And then you could go forward. Your other thing that you need to know is if you look at the board, what do dogs like that's on the board? Okay, they like bones. In order to finish this programming, you have to pick up both of the bones. You have to pick up two of them. So this is your pick up bone. This is not jump to the bone. This is not jump over the bone. This is pick up bone. You have to be standing on the bone to pick it up. So you have to be standing like on this red dot in order to use this card. You have to be standing on this green dot in order to pick up this card. Okay? You have to be able to pick up the bone standing on top of it. There's one other dot on here, and those are water puddles, okay, mud puddles. You do not want your dog, you do not want Rosie the robotic dog because she has electronic parts, and anything electronic doesn't do well with water. So you're going to actually jump over the water puddles. Okay, this is jump over. This isn't jump up. This is jump over. You have to be facing the right way in order to jump over the water puddles. You can't jump to the side. You have to turn and then be able to jump to the side. Okay, so these are your 5 coding cards. You have go forward, turn left, turn right, jump over, and pick up bone. Okay. So right now, what's going to happen is we're going to pause the video. We're going to have this coded up front, or we're going to have this on the board up front. And you guys are going to come up with different ways to use your 5 cards as a class. We're just going to walk through it, and we're going to see how can we get from the start, pick up both the bones, and you have to end up in your house. So you have to end up in Rosie's house. So we're going to go through how we're going to get, which way are we going to go in order to pick up both bones, do not get muddy or wet in the mud puddles, and end up at the house. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video. Okay, now that we've went through a few different ways of how to get both bones and get to the house and not get muddy, let's talk about the rest of what we're going to do. So during this next week, you guys are there's going to be one person in your group. Everybody at your table, all 4 of you or 3 of you or 2 of you, you guys are going to work together. You guys are going to work together, and we're going to compile these code cards together, and you're going to get one of your people at your table. Everybody's going to get a chance to be the dog, but one person at a time gets to be the dog. One person at a time gets to be the person that reads the code. Okay, they're like the computer telling the dog what to do. They're the controller. And then you're also going to have another person. So after I say pick up bone, I'm going to hand it to the person beside me, and they're going to hold it. Okay, so I have a holder also. If there's a 4th person, they're just going to sit and wait. It's no big deal. Okay, everybody's going to get a chance, and we're going to hopefully pick up both bones and go to Rosie's house by the end of class. Okay. And as of right now, that is all for Rosie's runtime that you need. And we'll talk about, we can also do different game options. So we could start down here, have 2 bones, and then the doghouse is up here. There's different options that we could talk about, or different game boards. If you guys all get through the first game board, then we can talk about this game board. Okay. So we will go over that next time I see you guys. And here's another one. This one has the house is surrounded by water puddles. Okay. So we'll talk about that more next week. Okay. I hope you enjoyed your animated storytelling introduction for Project Lead the Way, and I'm super excited to get started.